Hey, this is Ted Cantu with some web traffic news for you. And, I got sued, right? Everyone knows about that because I opened my mouth about some unfair practices that were going on the web. One of the things that was offensive to a lot of people was I mentioned that 35% of all web traffic is being fake. And I actually singled out some vendors that had some very unscrupulous practices when it came to web traffic. And I purchased quite a bit of this to see what was great and what was not so great. And what I found out in my bot section and my crawlers when I Googled who came to my page, you go to your Google Analytics, you can open it up, and you can actually see what the visitor traffic was like, what kind of bots came to your sites, and a lot of the stuff was coming in from Singapore, actually from India, Turkey, Singapore, and I forget the other one. It was I think it was even Australia. I mean, some of the stuff that was coming in. We actually bought Midwest traffic for our websites for our clients. Now that's a big problem because this offshore traffic's not going to help us at all, and it really is a problem. So I blew the whistle on these guys. I got slapped with a lawsuit to keep my mouth shut, which I refused to do, and everything's clear now. So you might see some of that stuff on the web about me. I'm always looking out for people. Now here's something that's really interesting. When you go on the web, about a couple years later, since all this trouble began, Wall Street Journal actually has a thing. It says the secret about online ad traffic is 1/3 of it is bogus. Now check out their numbers. Their numbers actually came up to 36% of all web traffic was considered fake, and that's pretty interesting stuff. And I said it was 35%. Uh, this came out around the same time, actually. Another article here talking about on Twitter, somebody talked about 35% of all website traffic is fake. That's pretty interesting, too. Very, very close. And then I talked about it again because I thought it was worth mentioning. Uh, so these numbers are very close. They're very closely aligned. And one of the biggest problems I have with purchasing web traffic in general was some of the guys that we bought it from had their own specific control panel. So in other words, they told us they sold us 10,000 hits, but when we went through our Google Analytics, we couldn't see anything coming into our sites. It was completely empty. And yet our vendor says on his control panel he could tell that he sent us web traffic, and it was bizarre because um, his control panel should make a difference. If you're sending us traffic, we've got Google Analytics code on our WordPress sections on our sites as well as our physical pages. So we should be able to see this coming through. And they were saying no. We had some other problems too. And we actually did some ad buying, and we tried to get some actual likes on some of our media posts, and none of this stuff was really coming in. But yet, on their traffic counter, they were saying that they fulfilled their obligation, which is really interesting because it's like complete fraud, right? So, um, it's amazing that these kinds of companies are allowed to sell their services, and yet there's like zero consumer protection on that, and it's really something you should be paying attention to. And if you want real web traffic, of course, you can always give us a call. We've been through multiple rounds of this, and we know how to look for it, we know how to buy it, and we know how to create it. So look us up at realtedcantu.info and tedcantu.com. Until then, I'll see you guys online with some more news, and we've got some really cool things coming up, so keep watching.